Hey everyone, so this is sort of an off-the-cuff video that I didn't really have planned to do today, but I just sort of feel the need to do it. And it's something that I wanted to talk about, and then I think I wish that I would have done much earlier. But yeah, if you've ever thought about starting a YouTube channel and you're also a parent like me and you feel overwhelmed, you think that it's too late, that was me. And I just wanted to share a few things that I had to sort of get over and that I've learned from putting myself out there when starting this YouTube channel. And I say all this as someone who is a very small creator, but who has found this creatively fulfilling and fun in a way that sort of I can add into my life without it verging on burnout, which sometimes it can be really hard to straddle that line. And yeah, so here are 5 things that I've learned and or tips about starting on YouTube as a working parent. 1, getting over the tech fear. And this was a big one for me. When I first started out, I thought I stuck mostly to sort of short form on other social media channels. And I always thought about a YouTube channel, but the idea of buying a camera and going through the whole analysis paralysis of looking up reviews and what's the best bang for my buck, and is it worth spending all this money if I'm not going to use it that often, and how am I going to learn to use it when I don't feel like I have that much time throughout the day and the weekends to make this work? How can I do this? You have to get over that. I had to force myself to say, hey, you need to learn this much the way you would learn any other skill. If you want this, you have to get over this hump, because it seems small, and I think it kind of touches on perfectionism, which I'll touch on later, but it's necessary for you to sort of take the next step. And so what I did first was actually start filming a lot on my phone, and that sort of turned untenable for many reasons that I can get into another video. But a lot of it was that it just, I need to use my phone often to sort of supplement when I'm using the device that I ended up purchasing, the camera. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting. I had so many ideas, and when I was, sort of on the verge of starting, that the most challenging part was not the content or the ideas, it was learning about the gear. I thought I needed the perfect camera, the perfect lighting, all of that. And just the idea of looking up all these things and finding the best stuff, and again, not spending too much money, it just wasted my time, and it slowed down what I really needed to do. And that was just to start. You know what I mean? And yeah, my first video, that was shot on my iPhone. I had no microphone. I had no great lighting. It was actually kind of bad lighting. It was outdoors, and the background was kind of messy, and I didn't really sort of plan for it. I just started, and I heard other creators say that, and I thought, that's just start. It just sounds so cheesy, right? Just start, but it's what I had to do. I was filming when I was at a Disney resort, of course, and I really enjoyed making that video, and I had so much fun just sort of getting out there in the field and talking to the camera and letting loose some of these, concerns that I had. And you know what? Still to this day, it's one of my best performing videos, and it has the least amount of tech. I can't promise performance in a video, and I've put a lot of work into some, and they kind of go nowhere, but that's just the name of the game. So yeah, if you need to break it down, try to learn one skill a week. I'm going to pick the camera for this week. I'm going to pick the lighting this week. After that, I'm going to pick my filming location, my style, and the microphone, all those things. Break it down into small steps. It's not easy, and I can feel impatient because I want time to start and finish something in one day, but as parents, we just don't have that time. So yeah, invest in the gear when you can, but just get started and sort of force yourself to learn those things, because once you're on the other side of it, then it comes a lot faster learning the tech and what updates you need, and what direction you want to go in, and where you want to emphasize either spending more money or not spending more money when it comes to your gear. All right, 2, why YouTube works for parents. And this is kind of interesting because, like I said, for many years, I stuck to short form social media content, which I still do, but YouTube was sort of calling me in a way, and I wanted to talk about why I think it works. Parent life can feel like it's all about everyone else all the time. And that's our duty as parents, as fathers, right? It's just, I come second. I'm way down on the list of priorities, and that's my job, and that's my role, and that's what I'm going to do, right? But YouTube became just a creative outlet that I really was searching for. And if you follow me for a while, you know that I'm also a writer and an aspiring author. And so I sort of reframed my approach in that, hey, this is a way for me to be creative in a different way, in addition to writing, that is an outlet where it is about me and my passions and my strategy. I can serve sort of every single role, and I don't have to go through anyone else. I could just publish it on YouTube, and then it's out there, and I'm sort of accumulating this library of my content. And so when I reframed my approach, I thought, well, actually, this is much more approachable for a parent, because I'm limited on time. And I can make the hours, sort of fit what I need to. There's not much of that time throughout the day and the evening, and it's often late evenings or early mornings, but I realized that this sort of method, I didn't have to make bite-sized content that was in short form. I could make something a little longer, something that I would want to see, or maybe something that would entertain me. I could be creative, I can make it, and I could be in control of it. And then someone could watch it as soon as that day when I hit publish. I think it's also cool. Another thing is you sort of documenting your life and those moments, those memories, even that chaos as being a parent, that things is all being picked up as I'm capturing more video content, throughout. Let me adjust the microphone with my family, and we're on a trip or we are just here at home. I have this nicer camera now that I can, look back on when I'm sifting through my videos and make another whole other library and a document in addition to my phone of our memories. And I thought, hey, well, this is sort of encouraging me to capture more of our life. So that's a good thing. And also I've met a lot of other parents doing the same thing. And it's a reminder that we all have something to share, even if it's small. We all have different ideas and interests, and you don't, have to be someone either without kids or with a ton of free time to sort of get your ideas and your content and, dare I say, art, out there in the world. YouTube is sort of your ability to do that. And even as a small creator, I'm really feeling empowered and encouraged by that. And as stressful as it can be, and I can talk about that toward the end of the video, it's a space that's sort of mine. And so far, I'm enjoying that. All right, 3, perfectionism and comparison. This one can be tough. And, like I said, I am an aspiring author. And so it seems like everyone's getting published every single day. You get on YouTube and it seems like people in your niche are getting so many more views than you and all this attention. And that's just the hard part about social media. You're always going to find someone with better gear, more followers, more cinematic looking videos, just everything that you can't do, especially when you don't have that much time throughout the day. But it's about people connecting to you. That's what I'm learning. And it's not your lighting setup. It's not your fancy microphone. It is people hearing your take and your thoughts on whatever you want to cover and talk about. And, it's just like any other thing in life. The comparing is not great. And it's something I've really worked on. And it doesn't serve you. It just sort of slows you down. And you don't really have time for that. We don't as parents. And so it's something that you can just sort of get over as quick as you can. And if you feel it creeping up again, just do whatever you got to do to move past it and work on your content. I like to say sometimes less consumption, more production, whether that's my personal life goals, whether that's writing, whether that's my YouTube channel. When that feeling starts creeping up, all right, time for less consumption, more production. I have to remind myself, done is better than perfect. I think that every video teaches you something about the next one. Forcing yourself through it, there's a huge sort of learning curve, but every time you're learning something, I think that's really important. I think that some people's first videos might look great. Some people, everything might sort of fall into space, or it might seem like it, but for many people, myself included, that's not the case. It's just you're learning as you go. And, it's weird being on social media like YouTube sort of almost makes it ripe to compare yourself to other people, right? And to feel like you need to be a perfectionist. But putting myself through this process and making this channel, I've actually had to remove and peel off those layers, because if I don't, I'm not going to get it done. And I need to get it done. It being a new video upload each week. All right, 4, finding your own voice. This could be hard for some people. I didn't start knowing exactly what my channel was going to be about. I knew I wanted to be sort of in the theme park and the Disney area. And I know that I'm a dad and I like traveling, and in this phase of our life, we're going to theme parks a lot. And it just sort of evolved to like sort of a mixture of all those things. I thought, is it going to be theme park news? Is it going to be, just vlogs? Is it going to be, strictly traveling? And it could be hard finding what to do, because I don't include my children or my family in my videos. So how do I sort of present myself as a family person, as a father, when I don't showcase them, I don't have them in the videos, and I feel very strongly about that. So it sort of has just evolved to just my interests generally. Sometimes I talk about my writing, sometimes I talk about what trip I'm on, sometimes I talk about theme park history, about what I'm interested in that week. It could be a restaurant review. The tether is still theme park-ish, but it sort of evolved over time. And what I've learned, again, I don't have to have it all figured out. When I start getting to making a schedule and what am I going to post and how do I keep up with what news is out there, I'm not a major publication that can get all the news out, in 1 week. I'd be having to work every single day on top of my job, and I can't do that. And so it's whatever's interesting me. Sometimes it's timely, oftentimes it's not. Sometimes it's when we're at the theme parks. Sometimes it's let's look at how things used to be in the early 2000s or the 90s. Let's look at the evolution of this ride. The ideas sort of come as you're making one, and just jot them down and sort of just keep moving on. I think that if I can give any encouragement, again, as a small creator, talk about what you like to talk about. I think your niche will kind of find you. And part of your niche, again, is you. That's what I'm learning kind of slowly. This, it is your channel. It's not just a channel. And so I think that's kind of part of the fun, seeing where your content goes and how it evolves with you. All right, finally, what you gain beyond the views. Again, I don't have a channel with a ton of views. I don't. It's not as if I'm trying to give advice on here are the things that can happen that you should do and what I did to make your channel blow up. That hasn't happened for me. But I think YouTube has given me a lot more than I expected. It's given me more confidence. It's, bolstered my creativity, and it's a new way to connect with a lot of people. I find myself sort of appreciating other people's videos a little bit more. And, whether that's a tech or a gear review, whether that is someone's travel content, someone put a lot of work into that. So there's a sort of a connection there amongst, for me, small YouTubers or YouTubers. I think that in terms of confidence, it's something that I've had to work on. It's like, do I want to hear my own voice this much? Do I want to put myself out there? Because I know people are going to have lots of thoughts about, their acquaintance or former classmate trying to be a creator, or dare they use the word influencer, which I'm not trying to be, or, someone who is putting themselves out there. And, especially in the Disney community, I love talking about theme parks and stuff, but let's be honest, there's some hesitance because people feel very strongly about, Disney adults and people who go to theme parks for whatever reason. It's a whole thing, and I could talk about that in a different video, but, I sort of stuck my neck out here to say, I want to be creative. I want to make videos. And these are the topics that I want to talk about. And with each sort of video, it's just getting easier. I'm getting more comfortable in, I guess, talking about this stuff and seeing my face up there on recommended videos, or even being at the theme parks. And sometimes people recognize me, which is a little strange. I didn't expect that to happen, but it has. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not the most confident person on earth. I don't think my videos are amazing or anything. I'm just telling you, in this small amount of time, I've sort of felt a little bit of a difference in making videos, at least in having this channel. I've learned that even if a video doesn't blow up, it's still a win because you're learning something each time you put your time and effort into it. You made it happen. You, a very busy person who could be watching TV, could be reading a book, things that I, as a parent, don't get to do very often myself. And so, yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of sort of this mini production studio, I like to call it, that I have sort of created. And honestly, it feels good to show, I don't let my children watch YouTube, funny enough. And, sometimes I'll say like, daddy's working on a video and they're sort of interested in it. How can this next generation not be? But it's kind of cool to show them that like, hey, like I do have a job and I do have a lot of things that I have to do for you and for our family, but also some things I like to do for me. And I'm working on them just because I want to, not because I have to, not because it's my job, not because, someone's asking for it. It is, I want to do this. I want to put this in the world. And whether some people connect with it or not, I'm showing them that like, hey, if you want to do something, you could do it. You just got to, put in that time. So yeah, those are the 5 things I wanted to talk about. If you're a parent sitting here thinking about starting, and if it's serious about YouTube, just start, grab your phone, talk about something you care about, edit it, hit upload, the thumbnails, the descriptions, all that stuff. I could talk about that in a separate video in terms of how I plan those things, but it's a lot. But if you want it, just start it. And I think, yeah, and in a different video, I'll talk about avoiding burnout. There are weeks I have to take weeks off. I make a schedule and stick to it. But again, as a parent, I sacrifice a lot of time. TV watching, book reading, I have to really squeeze in this above some more leisure type things at times. And I have to set some really strict boundaries of, okay, I'm not getting any content on these days. Here's what I'm focusing on. And again, it's a learning experience every single time. I'm not trying to pretend I have it all figured out. But if it's something you're interested in, just go ahead and start. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to learn as you go, sort of just like parenting, which is kind of funny. And yeah, if you're on your fence, maybe this is your sign to start. I feel like when I was, dipping my toes in, I saw a few videos like this one, and they really helped me sort of get over the hump, so to speak. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Are you thinking of starting a YouTube channel? Are you also a YouTuber? Are you also a parent? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about the process? Has your content changed? Has it evolved? Are you still enjoying the process? Are you thinking, hey, I don't know if I want to do this as much anymore? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing.